Hello, we have an interesting topic today, and this is one that came up via Liz, who works with me. She listened to a podcast and heard this and brought it to my attention, and her and I have had some interesting conversation over this topic because it will probably put some things in perspective for you. We know it certainly did that for us. So we're going to talk about theories of representation today and understanding the role of your local legislators. So I had a law professor years ago who was very prolific in his writing, and in a conference with him one day he said, "I write because I want to learn." Well, Conservative is having somewhat of that experience for us here. We're producing this little website and these videos, and we're learning along the way. We hope you're doing the same thing. Sometimes you need to dig into a topic to learn more and get better understanding, right? And understanding is our goal here. So, as we think about the theories of representation, I also want us to be considering the difference between a republic and a democracy because it's pertinent to understanding what representation really is. So, just real quick, a republic is ruled by a constitution. A democracy is ruled by the will of the majority. And the United States was formed as a republic, not a democracy. And so I know there's a lot of rhetoric and a lot of people call us a democracy, but officially in our founding, we are a republic. We have a constitution, we have a legal process designed around that constitution, and we are not an official democracy. It is not just majority rule. Certainly in certain situations, it's a majority vote that wins, but overall, we are a republic. So what does representation mean within that? And what are these theories and why are they important? Well, one of the goals of our country was to avoid tyranny. And if we don't pay attention to our representation and our understanding of what our government really is at its root, what the founding of it is, what the power of it is, we fall subject to tyranny. And we can have majority rule tyranny with the tyranny of the majority, where all the minority voices are drowned out. We can have a ruling class or a monarchy or a dictatorship. That's tyranny of the minority, where there's a very small group of people making all the decisions and drowning out the voice of the majority of the people. Or you can have a representative republic like we do in the United States. That gives voice to many interests, the small, the great. We're all in this mishmash together, and we're working together to resolve problems in the best interests of the people. Those checks and balances in our republic, when they're working well, help us to avoid tyranny. So, if we're a republic, how does representation work? Well, in our current environment, there are 3 theories floating around, and I think you'll find as I go through these, you probably fit into one or maybe some combination of 2 of these theories if you're a Wyoming conservative. The first theory of representation is trustee representation. And this is where the people elect someone whose integrity, whose judgment they view as trustworthy, and the expectation of the voter is simply that that person will act on their behalf and do what they think is best, whether the constituents agree or not. For voter engagement in politics under this theory, the voters really aren't particularly engaged on a day-to-day basis on what's going on in politics. The next theory is sociological representation. The expectation of the voter here is that they elect persons whose values, ethnic, religious, social, or educational background resembles their own, and the representative voting patterns are going to be similar to the constituents. The voter engagement here is that they still are also not particularly involved, but maybe perhaps a little bit more than in the first theory of representation. And then the final theory is agency representation. And the expectation of the voter under this theory is that they will elect someone who acts in an agent capacity and carries out their wishes. Now, one way to think about this would be in legal matters. Most of us are familiar that you can sign a power of attorney, whether it's for health care or for general activities or specific activities, and you can appoint someone to legally act on your behalf in a manner that you've defined within that power of attorney. That's an agency type of relationship. And in voting matters, this is where the voter, their engagement in politics is high, and they hold the representative accountable to voting in the manner they would expect them to. So within those three theories, there's some really interesting thought processes to analyze what's going on currently in politics. So I have a couple of questions for you today. Which theory of representation most closely resonates with your understanding of our representative republic government structure? And are we currently seeing representation work as envisioned by our founders? If not, then what do we do to correct course? This right here is the power of your vote. This is where your voice can be heard by voting for officials that you feel truly represent you in the manner that you expect.